We're about to start. So last week's session, we talked about security in the enterprise environment, focusing on IoT intelligence. And today we are talking about artificial intelligence as promised. Our host is going to be Mtandazo. When it comes to artificial intelligence, he has worked on some projects with Google and the United Nations. And that you see when you research his portfolio. So you'll take us through, and then we'll share our thoughts as we go along. And we have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is quite good. My name is Mtandazo Ndlovu. I'm currently studying at 42, at the same time working as a machine learning engineer in 10 at a blockchain company called Crypto. So I'm also very passionate about AI as a whole, and I'm proud to be sharing this presentation together with you. I hope we are going to have more of an interactive session, and we are going to also be able to share some knowledge and some insights that we have, and try to demystify this artificial intelligence, and then find out whether it's something that is going to be useful, that is going to be beneficial to us, or is something that everyone should fear. So the main aim of this session today is to try as collective minds to demystify this AI that is a lot of media attention right now, and a lot of fear that has intrigued a lot of fear, mostly in students, to companies, as well as to people that are planning to invest. They are thinking whether should I invest on AI, or maybe this AI is just some sort of a scam. So I hope by the end of this session, we'll just try to demystify it. So before we start, I would like to know where everyone is listening from, so that we can know our audience a bit. Although I can see we only have 2 participants, excluding me and Mawanda. Where are you guys coming from?
This is the other one. Tats is Tatenda. She was working at Olimum. She's at NAST. And then the other one is supervisor Tarsai.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so without wasting much of your time, let's dive deep into today's session. So let's talk about artificial intelligence, and then this is what we are going to cover today: definition of AI, the brief history about AI, what do we know about AI so far, use cases of AI in the industry, AI in the society, should we fear AI, embracing benefits of AI, ethics, and then ethics, and then later we'll end with question and answer. Okay, what is AI? So far, if you look into the media, if you are following the tech world, you understand that recently you find 2 sides of people. There are people who are always advocates of AI, always coming up with these high expectations, saying that AI is going to take over the future. Then there are people who are kind of in the middle, who are not saying AI will take the future. At the end, robots are going to be controlling us. They'll be taking the fiction of a Terminator and trying to visualize it happening in real life. So currently, a lot of people are in the middle, and then we also have that 80% which actually does not know exactly whether those ones which are saying AI will take over the future, are they saying the right thing? Then those ones who are saying maybe it will, maybe it won't, are they saying the right thing? And then those ones which are saying we are not at that level, are they saying the right thing? So exactly what is this AI? So artificial intelligence is just an area of computer science that emphasizes the creation of intelligent machines that work and react like humans. So intelligence, if you look at technology as a whole, it is making human beings more and more lazy. What I mean by lazy is each and every task that we do, we try to find a way to improvise in that task and make it much better. Like, for example, when we were making this presentation, making presentation is one of my nightmares. So I was thinking of how can I make this presentation automatic. So each and every time you see a task and you wish there is an automation of that task, in actual fact, you're thinking about a use case of AI. So artificial intelligence is just an area of computer science which tries to emphasize the creation of machines that can work and react like humans. So some of the activities of computers with artificial intelligence are designed or include speech recognition. Uh, may we please mute our mics so that I do not echo back to the Zoom? Thank you. So some of the activities computers with artificial intelligence are designed for speech recognition, learning, planning, and problem solving. So these are not limited use cases of machines which have been embedded with artificial intelligence. Most of them, they work on speech recognition, learning, as well as planning. So if you interact with Google Alexa, Alexa, or interact with Amazon boxes, your IoT devices that Mabandla managed to talk about last time, those are use cases of AI. They utilize speech recognitions. They also utilize natural language processing, and they try to plan on your advanced. It's like if you are planning to travel at a certain resort, you can tell Alexa or you can tell Siri that you are planning to do this. Then it can assist you in planning your event. If you are planning a vacation, you can somehow ask Siri how to plan your vacation, or Siri to assist you on planning that vacation. And then in terms of learning, we have seen artificial intelligence being used in adaptive learning in the e-learning space. So these are some of the activities which computers with artificial intelligence have managed to have a little bit of breakthrough. And then we are being promised a future of intelligence chatbots, self-driving cars, virtual assistants, a future sometimes painted in a grim light and sometimes as an utopia where human jobs will be scarce and most economic activity will be handled by robots or AI agents. Yeah, this is sort of like the current discussions these days, like each and everyone is promising. If someone is a practitioner of AI, I won't sell AI to you and tell you that this field is not going to bloom, or it's not going to come up with a lot of opportunities. Definitely, I'll paint that future with grim light so that you can actually see and find a bond, see the benefits of AI. But the problem with it is sometimes we are overselling this AI. It's being oversold. Experts who are into AI, they sometimes tend to say a lot about this future, paint it in a lot of grim light in such a way that when you it from a standpoint, you believe that maybe one day my job is going to be seen. As you can see in this cartoon, the robots have taken over almost jobs, but we still need on our taxes. So this is the future that most of us now, when we think about AI, we think about an environment whereby the whole company is going to be managed by robots, and then only just a few individuals are going to be left to just supervise on those robots. But is it really where we are right now, and how far are we from actually achieving this point? That's the other thing that most people do not actually address. They just promise the future and try to paint it in grim light. But in terms of actually saying out where we are and how far are we from actually achieving what this cartoon is displaying here, we'll find out by the end of this session. Okay, so let's look at a brief history of AI. Artificial intelligence was born in the 1950s as a handful of pioneers from the NASA's field of computer science started asking if computers could be made to think. Like I said earlier, technology somehow is making us a little bit lazy. Not much lazy, but a little bit lazy. Each and every time a new technology is introduced to us, we try to find a task in our societies or in our normal lives that we try to somehow automate it or have a machine do it for us. So due to the fact that there were quite a number of people who were thinking that this newly introduced machine, this newly introduced computer, how can it be made to think? If it can be made to think, then it could be a good idea that we try to explore that field and make computers think and execute some task on our behalf. So a concise definition of the field would be the effort to automate intellectual tasks intellectual tasks performed by humans. As such, AI is a very general field which encompasses machine learning, deep learning, but also includes many more approaches that do not involve any learning. Okay, so here, as you can see, the conscious definition of AI based on its history is more of like automating an intellectual task normally performed by human. So the need to automate a certain task, the need to try by all means to not do something but have a machine to do it is somehow is the definition of AI, and that is how AI managed to be born. And then we also hear some buzzwords like machine learning, deep learning, as well as AI. Sometimes people use them interchangeably, and sometimes people find a difference between machine learning, AI, and deep learning. However, all these terms are quite related. We will see in the picture that I'll show you in some of the slides, whereby we'll see how AI and then machine learning as well as deep learning is involved. Throughout this whole presentation and in the discussions that we'll be making, I'll be using these terms interchangeably. Mostly, sometimes I'll be specifying AI, I'll be saying deep learning or machine learning, because they are just one and the same. Okay, so still in the brief history of AI, we can see that in fact, for a long time, many experts believe that human level could be achieved simply by having programmers handcraft a sufficient large set of explicit rules for manipulating knowledge. So if you look at a standpoint of a programmer, when you look about automating a task, what you think about is simply writing some rules about that task. As soon as you write rules about that task, you feed them to your compiler, and then you have a program that explicitly runs those rules throughout. Therefore, by somehow automating that task. But that is just classical programming. But when we're now talking about in the case of machine learning, when we're talking about in the case of AI, we do not want to write a bunch of rules to automate a task, but we want to have a machine that can be able, or a program that can be able to find out the rules on its own and be able to automate that task through the rules that it has already generated. For example, if without the usage of AI, someone were to ask you to write a software that does image recognition, it will be a bunch of lines of code that you will have to write. And if you're not using any machine learning, just relying on classical programming, the task will seem a little bit impossible, even if you're a very, very good programmer. But through the fact that we now have some machine learning, some advances in machine learning, as well as in AI in general, these things can now be done much easily. So although symbolic AI improved suitable to solve well-defined logical problems such as playing chess, it turned out to be instructable to figure out explicit rules for solving more complex fuzzy problems such as image classification, speech recognition, natural language, and the like. So what happened with AI? The fact that it gives us, it tries to find rules on its own, it makes it much, much more effective compared to classical programming, whereby a programmer is the one that has to feed in rules. Because AI sometimes is able to figure out relationships that a programmer would have not found. It's able also to figure out rules that a programmer would have not thought of that can make that task much, much more better. If you go back to this cartoon here, which says the robots have taken over all jobs, but we need Jenkins to cheat on our taxes. What this means is anything that is embodied with AI or robots or machine learning models, they go for perfection. It's like if you give them a certain task that they're supposed to do, they go for perfection. It's hard for AI to cheat. That's why a human being, that's where they can come in, because here on taxes, they're supposed to cheat on taxes. But if you place a robot in that part, what it will do, it won't cheat. It will definitely calculate everything out, because its task will be to make sure that it calculates taxes and then pays the taxes. It will be hard for it to cheat, because these ones, they are more or less like oriented robots. Continuing on our presentation, as you can see here, we have relationships between AI, machine learning, as well as deep learning. Like I said, all these things are very much related. as you can see here, we have artificial intelligence embodying inside machine learning is just a subset of artificial intelligence. And then you also have deep learning. So all these things, they are quite very, very much related. Artificial intelligence is the broad field, and then we have machine learning and then deep learning. So deep learning as well as machine learning, there's a thin line separating the two. The algorithms which are quite used here in deep learning, we're now talking about deep algorithms which are now used. The approaches are quite a little bit different from the ones which are in machine learning. But normally these terms, they are used interchangeably. If you are solving a task, sometimes you can say you are using machine learning, while you are actually using a deep learning algorithms. So these terms are quite the same. So if you hear someone talking of machine learning and then you hear someone talking of deep learning, then another person talking about AI, they are all talking about the same thing. The only difference is that one is talking about the whole technology as a whole, while these two are just now talking about approaches that are used, algorithms that are used in AI. And then machine learning, as you can see, like I explained earlier, that in classical programming, it's more or less of supplying the rules, and then you give in the data, then you get the answers. But in machine learning, you provide the data and then you provide a set of answers, then the machine figures out the rules. It's like, for example, if you are working at a company, maybe let's say you are working at a grocery store, and then you are trying to predict the sales for the coming month, what it will do is you will have to provide each and every commodity that you are selling in that grocery shop and its prices, as well as the time. For example, maybe if you want to predict the price next week, you have to provide each and every commodity the time as well as the price at which it was sold at that particular time and the sales that it managed to generate. So you'll be providing the data as well as the answers, whereby the answers here are the sales that each commodity managed to generate in the specified timeline. If you feed that to a machine learning model, it will try to figure out the rules that relate each and every cell to a commodity, such that those rules can now be used later to figure out what the future may look like. So in actual fact, AI models more or less do not actually predict what the future may look like, but what they do is they try by all means to generalize on what the future may look like. So it's important here to quite note that machine learning models, deep learning models, AI models, they are not 100% accurate, but what they can do is they can generalize very, very well on what the future may look like. This is very, very important to note. And then proceeding, what do you know about AI so far? So far, AI has achieved the following breakthroughs: near human level image classification, speech recognition, health transcription, improved machine translation, text-to-speech conversion. There is a long list of improvements that AI has managed to actually break through on, and these ones are quite overwhelming. The last two ones that I specified here, OpenAI's GPT-2 and Google Beta, is used in NLP, medical diagnosis. These are the breakthroughs that AI has managed to show us, and it's very, very much promising, because a few years back, no one knew that we could have machines be able to do image classification on our behalf, speech recognition. When we're talking about image classification, it's a scenario whereby you have a bunch of images that you want to train a model to actually understand each and every pixel of that image, such that when you provide a new image that the model has not seen, it will be able to classify the class of that image that you provided, the new image that you provided, of which that is a huge when you want to approach it through the side of classical programming. But when you're approaching it through the side of machine learning, it becomes just an easy. Speech recognition, these are tasks that if we only relied on classical programming, they'll be very, very, very hard. The other one, which is quite exciting, is superhuman co-playing. This one is one of the most achievements and one of the most celebrated achievements when we talk of AI. If you just go on Google and then you find achievements of AI, one of the most popular ones is going to be the one of is the superhuman Go playing, whereby an AI made by Google Go AlphaGo managed to beat a powerful grandmaster in Go using a move that no one yet taught it. So that's the good part about machine learning as well as AI. These things, they sometimes figure out relationships that us, the humans that write those models, they've not actually picked it. Okay, so although deep learning has led to remarkable achievements in recent years, expectation for what they feel to be able to achieve in the next decade tend to run much higher than what will be possible. Like I said earlier, that when people set out AI, when people look into AI, we are told of a future that is more of a utopian future, a future whereby each and everything is going to be run by robots. That's actually possible, but the question is, how far are we from actually reaching that future? Because in most recent years, what is happening, you are in some sort of a hype. You'll see a hype graph, that's a hype cycle that I'll show you in just a moment, which actually shows you that the expectation of a technology as well as what it can actually do at that particular time, expectations tend to be very, very much higher. But rather than lowering the expectation and actually meeting the technologies, most people tend to increase their expectation above the normal level, even though it's quite good to have higher expectations for a technology. But it's kind of a bad idea from a business perspective. If you have high expectations for a technology, then you invest on it, then it fails to actually reach those expectations, then you can come into a loss. There is a certain case that I actually specified here in the slides. I think it's the next slide. So AI went through a cycle of intense optimism followed by disappointment and skepticism and the death of funding as a result. Like I said earlier, that if you start from the cycle start at a point whereby a lot of people are a little bit optimistic about AI, seeing the future of AI, being able to visualize opportunities that AI is going to bring. This causes people who are in the business sector to consider actually investing on this technology called AI. But what happens in the past is there is a period of time where a lot of people actually invested a lot in AI. But what happened, it failed to reach the expectations that a lot of people had promised that AI is going to reach. Therefore, it led to a disappointment. Then after, when someone tried to sell AI to an investor, they met a little bit of skepticism and then death of funding, because the technology disappoints. There is no need for you to actually consider yourself an investor of that technology. So this cycle started with symbolic AI in the 1960s. In these early days, projections about AI were flying high. One of the best-known pioneers and proponents of the symbolic AI approach was Mervin, who claimed in 1967, with a generation, the problem of creating artificial intelligence would potentially be solved. So in this case, he said each and every problem with a generation of just a basic model, any problem that exists, artificial intelligence will be able to solve it. And then 3 years later, in 1970, he also made a more precise quantified prediction. And from 3 years to 8 years, we'll have a machine with general intelligence of an average human being. The question is that I would like to pose to you, and we can discuss that. Have we seen any machine so far that has managed to achieve human level intelligence? This statement was said in 1970. Now we are in 2019. Have we seen a machine that has managed to generate that type of intelligence? We can post on the chat. There is a chat feature here. Have you seen it? Maybe there's some people that have actually seen it. I'll speak randomly. Steamroller, what do you think? Have you seen so far? Oh, okay. I'm saying this guy in 1970 said that in 3 to 7 years from now, I predict that artificial intelligence, there is going to be development of a machine that would have human level intelligence. My question is, so far from what you've seen online, have you met any machine which has human-like intelligence? Because this guy said it in 1970, of which he just said in 3 to 8 years, we'll be having a machine with general human intelligence. So far, have we seen that? Steamroller is saying yes. Ted is saying no, I haven't. Prom is saying no. Mabandla, what's your take? Are we at a level whereby we actually now have machines which have human level intelligence? Faison is saying yes. Not yet there. Okay. As you can see, we have, it's more or less like a debate. There are people who are saying we are at a level whereby we have actually seen human level like intelligence. Then there are people who are saying not yet, we are not yet there. We are close to that point, but we are not yet there. We are not yet reaching the human level intelligence. So usually it is said that most people tend to underestimate the power of the human mind, the power of the human brain. Even though machine learning is proved to be very efficient on image classification, playing games, and being able to predict stock movement of stock trend, being able to facilitate prediction of sales and revenue, being able to assist in medical diagnosis. These are tasks that it has been able to achieve to show us a great result. But when it comes to actually showing us that it can be able to perform like a human, we haven't seen that. That's my take on that one. For the ones that are saying yes, there is a part I think in this discussion whereby it's going to be more of an interactive session whereby we try to share out our points and get at the end of the session to agree whether should we fear AI or should we just embrace the benefits of AI before, and then later we'll talk about ethics. So let me jump to the presentation. Okay, so in 2016, such an achievement which still appears to be far in the future. So far in the fact, we have no way to predict how long it will take, but in the 1960s and early 1970s, several experts believed it to be right around the corner, and so do many people today. So right now, a lot of people are either saying, no, we are not yet there, but we might be there in 50 years to come. Then a lot of people are saying we are actually there. We have machines. Now it's the time for us to have machines that can perform, that can be able to have some average intelligence, human intelligence of an average human being. Yeah. And then let's talk about the hype. So this is the AI hype cycle. So as you can see, as the technology actually starts to grow up, as researchers are fueling the evolution of this technology, expectations are so high. Expectations are very high. We have, there is an innovation trigger, and then there is a peak of inflected expectations, and then trough of disillusionments, slope of enlightenment, and then plateau for productivity. So what happens with each and every innovation? As soon as it is triggered, as soon as the innovation is triggered, as soon as an innovation is triggered, what happens? We try to stretch the elasticity of that innovations. We try by all means to find out to what extent can this innovation be stretched. By trying to find out to what extent this innovation be stretched, spectators on the other side. Can you please turn off your mics? Faison, can you please turn off your mic? Thanks a lot. Okay, as I was saying that when an innovation is introduced to the public, when an innovation is introduced, researchers as well as professionals will be busy trying to find how much can we stretch this innovation. At the same time, a lot of expectations in the business sector, a lot of expectations in the spectators will be rising on exactly what can we do with this technology. Can you please mute our mic? Okay. So the expectations will be rising as soon as the innovation trigger is triggered. And then there is a time whereby the expectations reach to a peak. Whenever something reaches to a peak, there's going to be a downslope. So as soon as the expectations reach to a peak, and we see that, okay, we've managed to stretch this innovation and we have actually reached to a point whereby we cannot stretch it any much longer, it starts to decline. And then as it starts to decline, we get to a point whereby we lose all the delusions that we have. We start to see what can be achieved and what cannot be achieved. There is a general quote that I forgot to place here, but I'll just say it. Someone once said, when machine learning is a hammer, each and every problem you see is a nail. That is what is happening right now. When you have machine learning as your hammer, each and every problem that you're going to see is a nail. Without considering that right now we are in some sort of a hype. This is the hype cycle for 2019. We are in some sort of a hype, and we are here to get to the trough of disillusionment, slope of enlightenment, then we get to the plateau of productivity. As you can see, the plateau of productivity doesn't actually meet all the expectations that we actually have, but is somewhere along the half of some of the expectations that we had as soon as the innovation trigger was triggered. So meaning there are certain things that we can actually achieve with AI, some small tasks that we can actually achieve with AI right now, but for at a production level that we can actually trust, we haven't reached that level. For example, when you talk of medical diagnosis, we have models that are we have high accuracy. I was reading recently on the Reddit channel, which focuses on machine learning. It was released by the Future Post that in medical diagnosis, there is a model that was able to be more efficient and had high accuracy compared to human beings, to actual human beings, of which that was very, very outstanding. It was very, very good. But the question is, would you rather be diagnosed by a human being or by a machine? Which one would you choose? That's a question that we need sometimes to ask ourselves. There are certain tasks that AI has proved to be very, very good at, but not each and every task that can be automated with AI will be a great idea to actually replace a human being in that particular position and then place AI there. So I'll browse through the next slides. These are the general use cases of AI. We have AI in data security, real-time analytics, personalized data visualization and dashboards, data integration, sales revenue forecasting, personal security. So all these are the sum of the 6 use cases of AI so far, which have actually, whereby these companies or these personnels, they've actually checked full models and tried to implement them so that they can be able to solve a particular problem. And data security, these use cases include risk identification, early detection, operation improvement, and correction action. Real-time analytics, AI and machine learning can use real-time analytics to find fraudulent transactions, product offers, dynamic pricing, and more. So if you're a person that is actually focusing, that is working at a company, and your main job is to try to actually do any of these tasks, right now you'll be at a fear that, oh, there's actually a machine that can be able to do my job. Meaning if the company gets hold of that machine, I will lose my job. So far, what we have seen, according to articles that have been published by Fox, it is said that AI, although there are some jobs that in the future, maybe in 2 years or in a year to come or in 3 years to come, they are going to be replaced by AI, it is also going to create jobs. And the more, although if we now compare the two sides, the jobs that AI is going to create and those that are going to lose jobs, it has been found that it is going to create more jobs than the one that it is going to destroy. So the problem is these jobs that AI is going to create, are they only for specific individuals or will they be for anyone? That's another question that usually arises when you talk about AI and it replacing jobs. And then artificial intelligence is a high decibel discussion. It has served as a horizontal enabling layer, saving all vertical of business values, but it would be naive to say it doesn't have its own pitfalls. Abuse of AI tools can lead to enormous attacks from hackers, breach of data. That's why I said if you entrust AI to actually work at a human level, it would be quite naive to actually do that, because due to the fact that it is more or less of a machine and you give it a task that you want it to do, sometimes due to the fact that there is no that human element, once a hacker notices a certain behavior in a certain machine which operates in a certain pattern, someone can be able to interrupt that pattern. Once they interrupt that pattern, due to the fact it's just a machine, it might stop. Once it stops working, therefore there may be breach of data and a lot of attacks. So in the security section, in the security part of it, Mabanda can be able to assist on that. On should I actually trust AI, fully use full models of AI? Maybe when I'm now in a banking sector, should everything be made to be automated by AI, or should there be a human being also to supervise that? So trusting AI to take over the full task might be quite naive, but having a human being to supervise AI, that's the great idea. Okay, AI in the society, in the healthcare, transportation, prediction of natural disasters, in farming, strengthening the economy. AI has managed to impact us a lot in the society as well as in the industry. So we have seen AI in transport, autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars. Those ones are quite, that's quite a breakthrough of AI to actually have a self-driving car. But also each and everything that AI introduces comes up with a huge debate. Should we actually have self-driving cars? And should these self-driving cars be able to drive in the same roads with human beings? That's another question that is usually asked, because if a self-driving car drives in the same roads with the human beings, we know that some of us are not good drivers. Some of us are not quite good drivers. So AI is going to be expecting each and every driver to be a very, very good driver, meaning having an AI be driving in the same road with a human being, that's a debate. Whether should AI be made to drive on its own road, or should they be mixed with the human beings? So each and everything which talks about application of AI, there is always a debate that arises. Should AI work with a human being, or should the AI be above the human being, or should the AI work alone and be supervised by a human being, or should there be a separation? Should no AI be used and then human beings continue doing that task? There is always a debate about exactly what to do. So we are only left with around 20 minutes to finish this session. So I'm going to allow us to unmute our mics so that we can have some sort of a interactive section on whether we should fear AI. What are your thoughts? Should we fear AI, or should we actually embrace the benefits of AI? And then later we'll mute them back, and then we talk about ethics, and then I'll be able to entertain some questions and then be able to discuss a few before our meeting ends. So right now we can make it we can unmute our mics and then have some sort of an interactive section. And then I want to hear your thoughts. Should we fear AI, or should we embrace its benefits? What do you think?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. As for me, I think that we should embrace AI at the same time fear it. Like, we shouldn't really fully depend upon it. We should just give it a chance to be embraced. But at the same time, taking serious precautions, because we can't really depend upon it.
Okay, that's a powerful point. We should fear it at the same time practice caution when we're actually practicing it. That's your point, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I would agree with the previous speaker. I would agree. And at the same time, I'll give an example, like what you've been talking about cars, right? It's good that we've got self-driven cars, but at the same time, it will mean that we need to have a very good driver. So in that case, I would think it would be good, or it would be for the best if we've got those self-driving cars are using their own roads and people using their own roads. So it's good we embrace AI, but at the same time, we should know that it comes with danger.
Okay, that's a take, of which it's more or less similar to the one which was said by Promi, but in actual fact, it's more of like we should actually embrace the benefits that AI is bringing to us, embrace them with broad hands, while it's exercising caution, and then we should not turn off our fear. We should have a little bit of fear about AI. What do other guys think? Steamroller, what do you think?
Hello, hi guys.
Yes.
I think we should embrace AI because AI has a lot of benefits. For example, what OpenAI is doing, Elon Musk's startup on AI, they're trying to make it accessible to everyone at the same level because a lot of work in AI right now is in the private sector. It's proprietary. So it's not really democratized in a sense. What it really is in the public's perception, it's not really an accurate one. But what OpenAI is doing is allowing people to understand the potential of it. So it can actually help us. Like for example, in the domain of autonomous cars, it can actually make it safer because look at Tesla's data. Look at Tesla's data. They've simulated the possible scenarios and they've proven that the autonomous cars are much safer than an actual person driving. So he was actually proposing that maybe licenses should be actually harder to get because the AI has proven that it can do way better. And this is just one domain. Imagine like a general AI which is smart in every domain. We have a lot
So
to gain
So
from.
here, from what I understand, the perspective of AI in the general public is not quite accurate since a lot of AI models, they are more of in the private sector. They're not yet democratized.
Exactly. Facebook has pushed it to like another level, as well as Google in Renaissance technology, IBM, the kind of AIs they have, it's out of this world.
But do you understand the same open AI, which is more or less like try to make a powerful models that are actually in the private sector accessible on open source because the main aim for open AI is to release open source modules.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, that's the exact point for open AI. It was actually to make it accessible to everyone so that not one person would have like a super AI.
But why
They're trying to make it accessible.
the whole discussion on OpenAI that we can have for the whole day? Why did they release the half of the model of GPT-2?
I'm not too sure as to the exact reason why, but the whole point of OpenAI was to make it accessible to the general public.
Yes, they released the only half of the version of GPT-2, and then they say the full model, which was trained on over 40 gigabytes of data, they thought it would be very, very beneficial to keep it private, not on open source, due to the fact that it might actually cause harm.
Okay,
yeah. Probably you raised a hand.
Okay, there is an issue of the business model as well to consider there, but yeah.
Promi and Lothar, Promi, you raised your hand.
Yes. What is DPT2?
GPT-2.
Yeah.
These are it's a GPT-2 stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer Version 2. What it does is OpenAI managed to create this powerful model. It's like there's always been a race between OpenAI and Google. That is GPT versus BET. So what GPT-2 does is it is able to generate content that you might think was generated by a human being. It is able, you just give it a couple of phrases, the user, it's more or less of a language model. Like you just give it a phrase or some sort of a question. Maybe you can write advantages of using blockchain or advantages of using AI or global warming. It can write a full article about global warming. Just that you might think it was actually written by a human being, where in fact it was written by an AI. So GPT-2 is a generative pre-trained transformer version 2, meaning there is the version 1 which failed to beat BET, but version 2 somehow became leaps and bounds ahead of BET due to the fact that it is more than 1.3 billion parameters compared to BET's 300 million parameters.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Lothar.
All right. Hello, guys. So the thing is, I think with AI is very good for us, but then we also have to realize that the bed sector really, of course, fine machines, they can misbehave and do other things, right? Also remember that they are humans. There are people like me and you. People are notorious. So imagine when we use that AI and then we actually give it data to actually go and corrupt some environments, you know, and trigger such kind of things. So I think being open source, it's beneficial for maybe for most developers, but then also we have to keep in mind that there are also malicious people out there who are still waiting to get their hands on this technology and use it. So really, even if we try and make it open source, there's still parts of it. I think they're right to actually keep it, you know, private and not from the public. Actually keep it away from the public, because if some people get their hands on it, you know what could happen. I mean, you can imagine all those kinds of things that can actually happen, right? So I think it's one of those things to note. And then the other thing with AI, we shouldn't really look at it as something that is going to replace, but rather as humans, I think we have the capacity to think more on how we can actually make it useful, you know? It's like when you see a shovel, and someone may either think of it as a tool, actually use it to lift your sand or whatever you're lifting from maybe a lower ground to higher ground or whatever, whichever way. But then someone else might think of it as a fighting weapon. So I think whenever we're having this kind of technology, when we're using it, we have to think about all those things, right? That's all. Thank you.
Perfect. That's a powerful point that you raised. Another thing when is actually there are specific use it for deploying nuclear weapons. The creator they saw that, oh, this technology that we've actually came up with to make it much easier for us during war, we can actually embrace it for the benefit, for the good. So when you're telling the technology, here's its good side as well as its bad side. So it's up to us, ones that are actually to find out exactly which side are we going to stick on. So it's actually up to us to choose which side are we going, which team are we going to be playing upon. For my, according to my own opinion, so far, I've seen that AI is very, very good. The uses of AI, I've managed to work with some quiet models. I've managed to also interact. I once managed to interact with an engineer from Google, and I asked him that what does he think of AI? And he's the one that gave me this quote that when machine learning becomes a hammer, each and everything that you see is a nail. There are tasks that machine learning can be good at, but the world is a little bit chaotic. When you're actually training a machine learning model, you need to provide it training data, you need to provide it validation data, and then you need to provide it some test data so that you can see how it behaves, which the test data must be a representative of the real world. due to the fact that the world is a little bit chaotic. Sometimes you might come up with a very, very good model on production, on development, on paper. But as soon as you deploy it, it gives you very, very, very bad results. That is why most improvements in AI, they are still in research. Yes, we can see things being done by IBM. Yes, we can see things being done by Tesla, things being done by Google. But most of those models that they are actually doing right now, they are still said to be on beta or at a research level. So most groundbreaking things that we hear about AI, they are more still in a research field, in a research level before they actually get to deployment. We'll talk about ethics in just a few minutes. We'll talk about ethics, and then if you have any questions, you can ask right now while our mics are still open. Then we close in on ethics. If you have any questions, you can ask, and then we can try to rectify them. Any questions? Questions? If you have a question, you can either raise your hand. Okay, you can. People, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Can you confirm on the chat if you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I was hearing someone says I can't hear anything now. If you have any question, you can either raise a hand and unmute your mic and say it, or you can just post it on the chat. Then I'll read it out and then try to answer it for you. If you have any questions concerning AI, its application, as well as anything associated with it, if you have any question, you can actually ask. Because the main aim of today's session is to try to have some sort of a collective thought on what to think about AI, to look at AI from a certain perspective than we did the previous day before this section. Not to change your perspective about AI, but to actually make each other realize whether embracing AI is a good idea or fearing AI is a good idea. But at the same time, creating an awareness to each and one of us that each and every technology has been used for good, at the same time has been used for bad. But if we can embrace the benefits of this technology, let's embrace them. But let's not also be too focused on its benefits. But let's also keep in mind that the same technology that we are embracing has some downsides that we'll see on ethics. So if you have a question, please post. If there are no questions, then we'll proceed. Any questions? Mabandla, do you have any questions?
No questions for now. Thank you.
Okay, there's this question. Why do you say AI creates more jobs than it destroys? Okay, that's one question. Yeah, according to Forbes, AI is going to create more jobs than it is going to destroy jobs. What I mean is, let's look, for example, in the finance sector. I hope there's no one here in the finance sector so that they won't hate me. In the finance sector, Wall Street, what it did is it replaced a lot of people that were working there. Most people that are against AI, they are coming from they are ones which are in the finance standpoint. What AI did, it's on stock trading, on financial trading. AI is very, very good at that. Very, very, very good at that. So Wall Street is one of the places whereby AI managed to replace a lot of people that were working there as stock traders, as financial traders there. Then the people at Wall Street managed to see it much more effective to have AI bots running those things. So in actual fact, what it did is it destroyed the jobs of the finance people that were working there. Then it created more jobs for us developers to come up with those machines, those models that can be able to perform well. That's why I said it is going to create more jobs. But the thing that we need to understand about the jobs that it creates, are they for the general populace, or they are now for a specific set of people? That's another thing that also arises. If we look into the medical sector, AI, the black box was introduced also in the to be able to diagnose a person. A patient just arrives, it asks you, how are you? If you tell it how you are, it is able to take some blood samples. If it needs to take some blood samples, then at the end of the day, diagnose you and give you some medicine for you to take home. It proved to be very, very accurate, more than a human being. But what it means is it can be able to replace a doctor who's not performing well and try to, and also have someone to just supervise that machine. So it destroys a certain job. At the same time, it creates a certain job because it is at a standpoint whereby AI cannot work fully alone, but it needs to work with someone actually supervising. Although the supervision is not so intensive, but it needs to be monitored. We'll talk when we are discussing about ethics. I'm sorry, the session was supposed to end in 1 minute, but I actually stretched it. We'll stretch it a bit. My apologies on that one. Uh, Without supervisions, a lot of things might go nuts. For example, I will try to ask a question. Let's say you ask an AI, you design an AI that is with an main aim to make people happy. What do you think it will do? This is a question to everyone. If let's say here today we receive a fund of 5 billion US dollars and we are asked to design an AI that makes people happy, what do you think it will do? Are we saying everyone should be a developer in order? Okay, this one I will address it, Mabanja. Okay, Mabanja, you raised a hand.
Yes, I did. You can answer that one first, and then I say what I wanted to say.
Okay, are we saying everyone should be a developer in order to have job security? This one, we are not, technically, we are not saying everyone should be a developer in order to have job security in the future. But what we can actually notice is it is going to take over some jobs, but it is also going to create some jobs. But those jobs that it is creating, they are more or less for a specific set of community. That community can be a community of developers, can be a community of engineers, can be a community of engineers as a collective, or can be a community of a certain group of people. But those people have to be exceptional in those fields. So in other ways, if you are working, if your job is more or less forming a pattern, it can be automated. If you're doing a job that can be automated, therefore an AI can come in your job. But a company cannot replace you if you are actually contributing a little bit to the company. Although they can replace you because the higher you go up in your profile as a developer or as an engineer or whatever you choose to be, the more expensive you become. Once you become more expensive and they see an AI, even if you are performing better than an AI, definitely they will go for an AI. Some ways, somehow, it destroys jobs and it also creates the jobs. The question is, the jobs it creates, they are not, we can't say they are for everyone, but what we can say is they will be for specific individuals. That's what I can say, according to me. I hope my question is answered. I hope your question is answered.
It is partly answered. So it's just that this one is tricky. I think really it covers now on, when we're looking at ethics and also what happens to the people that are going to be replaced.
Yes. Yeah,
because a certain field, people feed families and all of those things. So I think those are some of the things that even the organizations that they are implementing AI in their environments, they need to take note of all those things. And what actually happens, because remember, if they just fire you and put a machine, the mentality that you have, and you have access to the company secrets. Even if they fired you, you still have access.
They will first hypnotize you, Mabanda. You forget everything about the company and fire you. You don't know about the corporate world is very, very evil. Okay, so guys, what do you think? If we're to be given a fund and we are asked to come up with a model that is designed to make us happy, what do you think that model will do? How will we design that model? What do you think that model will do? An AI designed to make human beings happy. I'm going to pick it random. Mawanda, you raised your hand. I'm going to pause you a bit and pick Faison Robert, if you're able to speak. Okay, not reachable. Steamroller, what do you think? Oh, Promi, Oppo. Okay, now you can unmute your mics. Oppo A3s.
I just want to say maybe the AI can be designed in such a way that maybe just ask random questions, but easy questions, sort of like a game. And then once you get an answer right, then it gives you money. I guess that's the only thing that can make people happy, money.
Okay, that's your point. You have a model that somehow gives easy tasks, and then for those easy tasks, it gives you money. Okay, what do others think? There's someone who had raised their hand also. I think, what do we think? If the task of the AI is to make you happy, what do you think it will do? What do you think it will do? Nothing? Okay, Promi, what do you think?
I think maybe it can ask someone like what they like doing or indirectly, and then from the responses it can know like the means of making them happy. Like it can ask some basic or general questions like their hobbies and stuff. And then so
Okay,
usually when someone talks about what they like, they end up getting happy. I don't know if it applies to everyone, but as for me, yeah, that really applies.
okay. So an AI can try by all means to find out exactly what interests you, and then at the end of the day, somehow it can make you happy, right? Okay. What do others think? The last one, I'll take Mavanda. It raised the hand earlier. What do you think?
Okay, this thing is very tricky. You know, when you say it will ask me, what if me I'm just that lonely guy and then I want a kid? Can it give me? so, so I'm thinking it will also come up with a way. Remember, this is AI. It will also come up with a way with people who make not unrealistic demands, but demands that it cannot meet, because at the end of the day, it has to satisfy.
Okay, so in general essence, if you're asked to design an AI to make people happy, it will kill everyone. That's one thing it will do. It will kill everyone, because the reason why I'm saying it will kill everyone is due to the fact that as human beings we are complex people. What makes me happy might not make you happy, and what makes me happy today, tomorrow might not be the same thing that makes me happy. For example, money can make you happy. The things that you can buy with money can actually make you happy, but not everything that you can buy with money can make you happy. So what it will do is it will try to make sure that it maintains you at a state whereby you are happy. It's like give you the money. As soon as you get happy, as soon as it senses that you are now becoming sad, if it does not see a better way of making you happy, it might kill you, so that it will have actually achieved its objective. Because the objective of the AI is to make human beings happy. So if it gets you to a peak point, to a peak whereby you are happy, as soon as you're about to decline, it tells you it achieved this objective of making you happy. True or false? You can post on the chat. That's my opinion. If so, if we're to design an AI to make people happy, it will definitely kill us, because it will try to maintain us at a state whereby we are all happy. As soon as we are about to decline, it will stop that from happening. And the only way to stop that from happening is to eliminate you. So it is to eliminate you. So this takes us to ethics and in artificial intelligence. So when we talk about ethics, we are now talking about the crazy applications of artificial intelligence which have somehow violated the human ethics. For example, content generation, automatic content generation, like the modules that was released by GPT-2. Facebook once fired its content writers for news and employed AI. The only problem with the only problem with firing content writers and then replacing them with AI, the only problem that they made is AI managed to pick out a certain discussion which was very, very hot at that particular point in a certain location. Then started to generate content within that discussion. Then that discussion, a lot of people, it was kind of a hot discussion itself. It's a hot topic. Like, for example, if all of us here are from Zimbabwe, you quite know that there are certain topics in Zimbabwe that are very, very controversial to talk about them in the public. And newspapers hardly publish about them. An example is a topic of Kukurahundi. It's quite very, very controversial. If you come up with a media company, then you place AI to actually generate content. What it will do, it is going to try to find a topic that can capture users, because the main aim of a content generator is to generate content that can be catered to the user, that a user can just read at a glimpse and then spend the whole day actually browsing through. Then they can actually make money, because the objective is generate good content, keep users glued, and make a lot of money. So what the modules that were at Facebook did, they found a controversial issue in a certain area. I'll give you the slides, including the link, so that you can read these things that I'm talking about. And then what happened in that area, due to the fact that that controversial issue was now being raised again by AI, it actually led to a genocide. And the UN somehow blamed Facebook for that. But the engineers at Facebook, who were the ones who wrote the model, were kind of like, no, we did not do anything. We did not do anything. We just wrote the models. It became some sort of a blame game on the ones that actually implemented the model and the one who developed the model. Another case of ethics is Amazon managed to sell their model to the USA police. And then that model was to try to identify a person of interest, to identify a person of interest in a huge crowd. What it did to try to identify criminal activity, in fact, from cameras. That model, due to the fact that it was trained in a bit of biased data, for those of us who have managed to, who are in the field of AI, who are practicing AI, you'll discover that when you're working with images, you are mostly working with white faces more than black faces. If you're talking about facial recognition systems, mostly you're working with white faces a lot. That's a lot of data that is actually available on open source. So the model that the Amazon guys developed, it would point out if a white man was around black men, it would point the black men as people who are about to perform a criminal intent. The same model was then used later to try to identify members of the US Congress mugshot. It managed to identify it managed to actually say someone was in the Congress while that person was not in the Congress. This proves that sometimes even the biggest companies that actually have the resources to generate powerful models, they somehow come up with models that are not ethical. They may be good in practice, but in somehow they tend to violate our ethics. Let's look at, for example, the one for police. It means that if two black people and one white guy, those two black people, the AI is going to send a signal to the police that there might be a criminal intention by these two black people, then you might be harassed by police. So that's one unethical issue about AI that we have actually seen. Another issue that we have seen of AI, of some developers in AI, using AI to violate ethics. There's one case, you see, companies like to reduce costs. So, okay. Those who are now leaving, sorry for extending the time. According to the poster, we're supposed to end at 10. Usually these sessions are 1 hour long. Sorry for taking time, but you'll be able to get the slides. We'll try to paste the Drive link, the Google link, so that you can download the slides and then all the links, and you can be able to browse through and follow through each and everything. So the questions that you asked, we'll be able to incorporate them in the webinar, in the slides, so that you can be able to follow along. Thank you guys for joining, the ones that are actually living. So as I was saying, there are many cases whereby the government has tried, and big companies have tried to source AI to do a certain task which reduces some costs. Like for example, as I was saying, there is a certain place in USA mostly whereby a model was designed to track users which are diabetic and to try to find out the ones that can be actually given some money to assist them, and the ones that are now better enough to not deserve the money. So what happens is that model managed to say, okay, that one is now okay. You do not need to provide much assistance to them. That one is now okay. You do not need to provide much assistance to them. Which in general, when that issue was looked deeper, it was discovered that the ones that it said actually do not need money were people that needed money. But due to the fact that they showed one behavior of someone who does not need money, the AI said, okay, this person, even though they are sick, but they can be able to provide for themselves. So that's the problem about AI. The data that the engineers train it on sometimes may not be a very good representative of the real world. That's why earlier I said the real world is a little bit chaotic. So sometimes, even if the model can be very, very good at a research level, can be having some astounding results, but when you're now taking it to production, and when it is now faced with the real world problem it was trained to solve, it might give us terrible results. So another case is now it is said that the poor, they are judged by machines, whilst the rich are judged by human beings. What it means is in most developed countries, if you now go to court, the AI is the one that passes the decision on whether you get bail or not. If you are in the lower class, if you are not that successful, you are being judged by an AI. But the ones that have money, those are the ones that are judged by people. So meaning the ones that are judged by people usually get bail, at the same time get lower sentences. But if you are judged by an AI and you have committed even a petty crime, and it was trained on a biased data, and you are also a little bit black, therefore things might not go in your own way. This was seen, there is a documented case of a model which was applied in the judicial system. That model managed to deny bail for most black people, and then those black people that it denied bail were the ones that had committed those crimes either by mistake or were later proven to be innocent. Then the ones that the AI managed to grant bail and say these people are not going to commit any further crime are the ones that were actually given bail, then went outside to commit another crime. So that actually shows another case whereby AI has also failed humans. So when we're now talking about ethics, it's a very, very big issue, because this AI, a lot of companies, they're now investing on it. Most people are now starting to gain skills on AI. Before you actually build a model, before you consider doing something to solve these problems that you face using AI, think it through. Make sure that whatever solution that you're introducing to us, you actually trust it, and you make sure that you trained it and you tasted it well enough for you to actually say this can be used in place of a human being. Because if you do not do it well, it might backfire back to you. These cases, you can find them plenty online, but I will provide them on the PowerPoint presentation, and then you can be able to see these documents, because they are very, very much documented. Ethics on AI is a powerful issue, and it needs to be addressed. Facial recognition systems, I heard recently, I do not know how far true it is, that in Zimbabwe, images of people have been sent to China so that they train a facial recognition system, meaning as you are walking by, they will be able to recognize you. I do not know how far true is that, but I heard it from some sort of a reliable source. But images have been sent to China for facial recognition systems. Facial recognition systems, they are good if applied at a company, but you can't apply them at a nationwide level. That's a violation of ethics and privacy. So that's it. That's it for today. We have managed to address what is AI, a brief use of AI. We have looked at the relationship between AI, machine learning, and deep learning. We also managed to talk about what AI has managed to achieve so far. We talked about the hype in AI, the use cases on AI. We also managed to have a brief of discussion on whether we have achieved a level whereby we have AI machines that have human-like intelligence. We also talked about the fears of AI, or whether we should embrace the benefits of AI. And then if there are any questions before we close the sections, I would like to address them. And then if there are any comments or additions, we surely appreciate them. So right now, if you have any question or addition, or you want us, it's like the main aim of these sessions, I run them with Mabanja, is to make sure that we give you some bit of awareness. We'll be hosting them each and every Saturday. We'll be focusing mostly on cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and then on some sections, blockchain. So next week, same time, it will be a different topic, but we'll be focusing on cybersecurity. So some of them, they are going to be practical sections whereby we'll be analyzing a certain AI doing stuff, whereby I'll be coding live and then showing you a solution. We'll be discussing a problem. Then I showed you how I managed to solve that problem using AI. Then we discuss on the downfalls of it as well as on the advantages of it. Then on cybersecurity, Mabanda will be taking you for that. On some sessions, we'll be able to show you exactly what he talks about when we talk of cybersecurity, practical approaches of it, and how to prevent something from actually happening. So these sessions are meant to educate each other, share some knowledge with each other. At the same time, if you have any project in mind and you need some assistance, or you have a question, or if you are coming from a company or you own a company and you are wondering how you can place AI in your company, you can simply just ask a question, then we'll be glad to answer it for you. If we do not have the answer probably on the next session, if you give us a question, we'll be having a full document of answers for you, because we like researching about these things. I talk about AI because I spend most of my time researching about it. Where I work, I spend most of my time working on AI. I currently work with some United Nations, with a company called Ontena, which got a contract from the United Nations. We're working with data from Somalia, trying to detect anomalies due to climate changes. So I quite have some experience in AI. So I'll open the session to anyone that has a question, a suggestion, a project that they're working on, or so needs recommendation on something. The session is now open before we close it. So I'm just going to open it for less than 10 minutes, depending on how many people have questions. And then after that, we'll close the session. And then before we close, we'll ask each one of you to either provide us with your phone number or your email address, depending on which one is convenient with you, so that later we can be able to send out to all of you the PowerPoint presentations once they are fully done, together with the questions that we managed to address today and their answers. So if you have a question, you can either raise a hand and say it out, or write it in the chat, any of the two. So I will leave it like this open for just 10 minutes. So if you have a question, anyone, you can actually point it out. Then we can try to address it.
All right. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your input. So just feel free to engage with us. If you also have some powerful contributions and where you think we might make our sessions more exciting, please let us know.
Awesome, awesome. Seems like everyone is quite good. Or people are typing. I'm not sure. Let me just ask if you have a question. Mark Owen, do you have a question or a suggestion?
Well, at the moment, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Thank you.
I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Oppo, Promi, and Tarisai, any additions or questions? Oh, and Tats.
I'm good too.
Pardon?
Wait, Nta,
Yes.
isn't you said you're working on a project with the UN, right?
Yeah.
Like, do they require data so that maybe you can assist with the data they're getting? Since we are observing that the data which is being used for most AI stuff is normally wrong or imbalanced.
Okay, usually the project that they are working on, they're trying to detect, it's like here in Somalia, a lot of people, they are fleeing from one place to another. So they're trying to identify the nexus between those movements, the displacement of people, as well as the climate changes. We're trying to identify the nexus between the two things. So the data that we are obtaining is obtained from, mainly satellite images that are captured by NASA. So it's quite very accurate.
Okay, at least.
It's quite very accurate. But mostly when it comes to data, mostly company, if you are dealing with one company data, that's the data that you can trust, is less biased. But if you are looking at open source data, there is a lot of bias when it comes to data. There is quite a lot of bias. For you to find a very, very good data set, you have to either talk with an institute or some universities usually have high quality data, but they usually themselves. I hope your question was answered.
Yeah.
Okay, Mavanda, what are you saying?
All right, I'm saying, Uti, what is it that makes you say, Uti, data that has been collected by companies is more accurate and non-biased compared to open source data?
Okay, it's
What
like, for
makes you say that?
example, where you work, the company might choose to collect a set of data to predict something in the future inside your company. That data is less biased due to the fact that it is only based on one particular domain in a particular setup. You understand now?
Yes. Now I understand all that, but that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, but when it comes to open source data, the one that is just general open source, whether it's image data or NLP data or that type of data, it's usually collected from certain points. Like the one may come, the one data set that I once worked with was for breast cancer. It was coming from India, women in India, as well as some of them were in. It was taken from women in India, and then some were in. I think it was China. I think, of which that data set may be the same things that say on that data set say it cause breast cancer. If I train a model, then let it be used in Zimbabwe, it might be a little bit biased. So if it's for a specific place, maybe data from Zimbabwe, to solve a certain problem in Zimbabwe might be less biased than taking a data from other places to solve a problem in a certain place. Any questions or additions before we close the session? Awesome. I believe everyone is quite okay. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining us today. Like I said, my name is Mtandazo. You can find me on social network, although I'm not very much available on social network. But you can actually follow me so that if there is something that I'm doing, you can actually see on the post. But mostly, if you can manage to attend these events that we host each and every Saturday, the main aim of them is to try to share some knowledge about these technologies and also be able to solve each other's problem. If you are working at a company or you have your own company and you want to use a certain technology or you want someone's advice on whether it's secure what you're using, we usually discuss. Not everyone here is a developer. People here, we do not just seek developers here. Everyone here is welcome. We just address these situations from a community standpoint, from a developer standpoint, and then from a business perspective. So we sort of like invite everyone to tune in so that you quite understand exactly what is happening around AI, what is happening around cybersecurity, what is happening around blockchain, so that we do not only discuss AI and security, we also cover blockchain. Let's say any tech that we get our hands on. I focus on AI because I like AI. Mawanda focuses on security because he enjoys security. If we have any one of us here who's also into tech or also has something that they wish to contribute here to the platform, we can give you a slot on one Saturday for you to actually present your findings, your research. But one thing that we'll actually advise to anyone who wishes to join us, you have to be more passionate about it, be able to actually research on it, and be willing that if there's someone who needs your help in your specific domain, you'll be at their disposal to actually help them and be able to receive on their behalf. So it's more of like that. I hope everything is quite settled. Mawanda, me, I'm done. You can sign off. First of all, let's collect so Mawanda, you can collect their email address and then just place them down as well as their phone numbers, and then later we'll try to send a drive link to every one of them. So Mawanda,
I'm collecting them. I'm
Okay.
collecting them.
Any additions that you want to add, Mawanda?
No, I'm okay. I'm just encouraging them that if possible, if you can also find other people that are interested, please also let them know that every Saturday we have a community here where we share information that we have, and we also assist each other.
Okay, so our Facebook page is Wired Visuals. You can like us on Facebook, Wired Visuals. You can like us there. And then you can also like another page called Idea Today, Business Tomorrow, which we believe in the culture of any idea turning into a business tomorrow. And then I'm just going to post in my my LinkedIn profile here so that you can also find me on LinkedIn. And then on Facebook, as soon as you go to Wired Visuals, you can be able to find me and Mawanda from there. Then other platforms, it's quite easy to attend us. So to find us. So my LinkedIn profile is just and then let me just provide the URL so that it becomes more and more accurate. Mawanda, you can also share your LinkedIn profile.
All right, I'll share it. Not now, sorry.
No problem. No problem.
Right.
Let me share in my LinkedIn profile so that everyone can be able to see me. So before we sign off, all of us here are all of you guys who attended today are students, or some of you are working. What are you working on?
All right. So from the guys that were there, and
Yes.
Chindo working at eSolutions, mainly works on Java and other technologies, and then Chatenda now part 4 at NAST, and then Charsai is, I think he can speak for himself. What are you working on? All right, so this one, he has been working on some projects, mainly as a software developer, web application.
Well, web application.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Is he also a freelancer? Is she a freelancer, or is he a freelancer?
He is a freelancer.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Oh, part for computer science. Okay, so it was nice meeting all of you. We hope to see you again next time. We now have your contacts. You now have also our contacts, I believe. You can find us on Facebook and on WhatsApp. You can reach Mabanda or me on this number. If you have any question or suggestion, you can just post it. You can just post it on my number. Then I can be able to actually attend to it. Thanks a lot, guys, for attending, for being patient. We stretched this section a lot today, but we try to work on making sure that our sessions become a little bit fixed to the 1 hour that we actually advertised. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have come to the end of the session. I believe no one has a any question, but if it develops along the way, you already have our contacts. You can just jot them down. If you come up with a question or you have some sort of a suggestion, or you also want to use the platform to present something, or you have something to share, you can just contact us during the week. Try to create a slot for you that you can share your contact. Please make sure you invite other people as well to join us so that we can have a huge community. Then we can now start to tackle some problems together and make Africa great again. Use technology to solve real world problems that are actually affecting us on a day-to-day basis. Thanks a lot. Yeah.